Hello, and welcome to In Novato, a show produced by Novato Community Television, NCTV. I'm your host, Pam Hazley, and I'm opening up this episode from my living room. Yes, that's right, my home. That's because of a global pandemic of a dangerous disease called COVID-19 or coronavirus, which has caused the entire world to be sheltered at home. In fact, in Marin County, the shelter-in-place order took place on March 17th. So as of July 4th, we've all been quarantined at home for at least 3.5 months with, no end in sight. If we do go out, it's for essential purposes only. We have to wear masks, we have to sanitize our hands, and we have to maintain a 6-foot distance from other people. That in itself requires businesses to be shut down, schools and restaurants for the most part, including events such as the Marin County Fair, the Novato Festival of Art, Wine, and Music, and what would have been the 28th annual 4th of July parade. But since this is going to be an uneventful summer, NCTV decided to produce a virtual parade tribute, because nothing can get in the way of honoring our great country and celebrating the amazing people in our community. So we hope you enjoy this special tribute, watching safely from your living room.
Is that kind of place, surrounded by an open space, rolling hills and wonders to be found. Kids out on the baseball field, hogs and horses, hawks they steal.
That is just amazing.
Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here today to share the special tribute and to talk about what's going on in the world and why we're not having a parade and try to make some sense out of it. And it's good to see everybody. I'd like to go around and have everybody just introduce say your first and last name and what your affiliation is with the parade. And Rob, why don't we start with you?
Hi, Rob Sundberg, People of Note Big Band and Novato resident.
Brent Ainsworth. I am publicity for the parade, and I work for the County of Marin, and I'm also an announcer for the parade.
I'm Vicky McDill. I'm on the committee. I am the treasurer of the parade, and the day of, I take care of the horses.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Goldfinger. I'm the vice chair of the committee, and I'm the secretary of the board.
We may have another person or two join in, but for now, let's just roll with it and try to put some perspective to this whole craziness here. I do want to spend a couple minutes because I think it warrants, talking about why we're all sitting in our offices, or most of us at our home, and not having a parade, because we all know today, but 20 years from now, because I do see this as a historical piece, I want people to understand why. So if you don't mind just kind of going around and saying, how has this COVID-19 pandemic affected you, or do you have any? Everybody's got a story, I think. For me, like, I was never a morning person. Well, now I'm a 3:30 in the morning person every day. And so that's a big change for me. Lots of anxiety, eating way too much, things like that. So Brent, how's this affected you?
It's funny you talk about gaining weight. We're calling it the COVID-19 pounds. I did have to work from home for first few weeks, but then since I have a set-aside office where I can close my door, I've been going in and working at the Civic Center and doing my job, doing a lot of public health messaging about the coronavirus and dealing with the media and all that. But how it's affected me, I know that this is just like the journalism that I used to do. It's a calling. Whenever there's an emergency, you get an adrenaline rush. So it's been a big adrenaline rush professionally, but personally, it's almost the opposite of that, right? I mean, it's a bummer that we can't go out and congregate like we normally would. But I'm doing fine, and thankfully my family's healthy, and certainly seeing my family more, and but everything's going fine.
A whole lot more, right? So that's something interesting too, is that some people say, is it easier to shelter in place alone or with people? And the surveys I've heard, the survey results are like, it's 50-50 in a way. So for me, I've been sheltered alone and I'm a homebody, but around week 4, I was starting to get a little stir crazy. So, but I'm fine. But you know, it's weird when I have a little view of the freeway and Redwood Boulevard, and it got to a point where I could count the seconds, maybe even minutes, between cars going by. So that was freaky because it can get really busy out here. So, Rob, how has it been like sheltering in place with family and et cetera?
With the family, it's been fine. But when we look back into Friday, March 13th, the last Friday the 13th we had was the last day of school. And then school was out for 2 weeks, and then we're going to go through spring break. And then we went all the way to our summer break. Now I'm on summer break and looking forward to getting back to school in the fall. Hopefully we can do that safely and soundly. But it's just, I'm looking forward to our next Friday the 13th in November. Hopefully we'll be back to some semblance of normalcy.
Puts a new perspective to schools out for summer, right?
Indeed. I've gotten so much done around here. I'm starting to do those same things twice.
Vicky, how's it been going for you?
Oh, we were in March, we were in Arizona. My granddaughter tried to talk us into staying there because she thought we'd be safer there, but we weren't sure we'd get back into California, but we did. I wanted to come home. I've cleaned out closets. I've cleaned out drawers. I've been to the Goodwill 3 times. The backyard looks great. Bill's been busy at the backyard. So, you know, we're just hanging out, waiting for this all to be over.
Yeah, I hear there's a lot of organizing going on right now, a lot of purging. So it's a good opportunity to clean out those closets in the garage. Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of adrenaline usually this time of year, right? So how have you handled all that now?
Well, I guess the adrenaline hasn't actually built up, but I wish it would, because I'm starting to get a little bit bored. I haven't been until this point, but I'm starting to run out of things to do. So I need to find some more things to do that I can safely do. And hopefully that'll carry me for the rest of this epidemic.
Oh, you can come to my office or my house anytime. I got lots of organizing for you. It needs it. So tell me, if I understand correctly, this would be the 28th parade. Is that correct?
Yeah, this would have been the 28th parade.
So in the 27 years previous, was there ever a notion that there would be a reason to cancel or not have a parade?
No. Novato actually didn't have parades for many, many years. We know that there were parades in the early 20th century. In fact, in the Novato Township book, there's a picture of the 1908 parade, but we don't know of any organized parades for most of the 20th century. There were some parades, but wasn't an organization. So when this committee got organized in 1992, that's when there was the first organized committee to do the parade and present it to the city, the residents every year. And so this year, of course, is the first time it's been canceled for public health reasons, but we'll get through this.
This is truly an epic and historic event then.
Or non-event.
Right. So, Vicky, if you could tell me a little bit earlier history that a few of us may know, unless we've read the Novato Township book, I suppose, but your involvement in the early days. Tell us what was different then.
Well, I don't know how far back you want to go. I was involved with, at that time, was DOTBA, Downtown Old Town Business Association. It's now DNBA. And I was actually treasurer of that. So I've handled the money for the parade for 28 years, I guess. But Lynn Hines was the president, and he decided that we needed something to bring people downtown. And he came up with starting up the 4th of July parade again. It hadn't been in town for many, many years. The only other parade they had was Western Weekend, which was until like the 70s, I think Western Weekend finally canceled. So the first parade we had started 7th Street and went to Redwood Boulevard because it was opening day of the farmers market, and they opened in Old Town, all the way down from Redwood to Railroad. So we couldn't go all the way to the railroad. So we staged everybody and went from 7th to Redwood Boulevard. And I was in charge of the horses then. And Sandy Huff, who was on the committee at the time, and I and our husbands, after the parade, shoveled for about 2 hours.
Shoveled what?
What do you think? We scooped poop, let's put it that way. So that was the beginning of my husband and veterinarian Tom Winter dressing up as clowns with a wheelbarrow and shoveling in the parades for years until unfortunately Tom passed away. And that was the end of that. Now the horses bring their own pooper scoopers. It's grown a lot. It's gotten a lot more organized. It's gotten a lot more people involved on the committee and volunteers and all that. It's still fun. I miss being out there. By now we would be absolutely running around like chickens with our heads cut off, making phone calls and trying to get people that we hadn't heard from and all that kind of stuff. So, but we'll do it again next year.
Dennis Hagerty was pre-recorded, and so I wanted to introduce Dennis Hagerty. And Dennis, how's this COVID-19 affected you? I know for me, I haven't been sleeping. I've gained weight. Now I've gotten used to being home, so I have to. It's confusing.
Well, professionally, my office has been open every day, and I've been working every day, and we're dealing just a lot through email and phone calls. So I'm not a business that relies on customers coming in and buying something that day. So it hasn't impacted my career or my work at all, but obviously it's affected my personal life like it has everybody else in terms of getting together with friends and, shaking hands with somebody or giving them a hug. And that's all very, very different right now. But what I think and feel about it is no different than what anybody else is thinking or feeling about it.
You're not only just one of the announcers, but I believe you were the first announcer. Is that right?
I don't know if I was the first one. I marched in the parade with the Boy Scout Troop 42 from 1995 and through 2001. And I can't recall if there were announcers back then, but I then played with my band at the time, Stage Fright, and we played on a flatbed truck in 2002, and then after that I was asked to be an announcer. But I guess I'm the first announcer in that I'm the first announcer that the parade marchers greet. So, but I've been doing it a long time.
So then I also believe that Don Ricco was the second announcer, and he's actually the one that brought me on board. So I guess if you're counting, I'd be number 3. So Don, I'm sure all of you could say something spectacular about him. He's so involved in the community and is a professional radio announcer. And I miss not having him in the parade, but anybody want to speak to that, his involvement?
As you said, Don is a professional announcer. So when Don spoke, people listened because first of all, his deep voice, and then he knew exactly what to say. It was very seamless. It was humorous, and we also miss having him as one of our announcers.
Definitely.
Anybody else? Rob, want to add anything?
He's just local color. I mean, he's been here forever. I remember taking judo lessons with Don Jr. when we were little kids and seeing Don there and just watching him through the years doing such great work for the city of Novato in many aspects, but especially the parade.
I think it also added some credibility to our announcer crew to have a Korean War veteran, was it Vietnam? I can't remember. But he brought the military part of our parade to life. It was so much. The patriotism seemed to ooze out of that deep voice, and knowing that he served it was important to me as somebody who appreciates our veterans. To have Don doing that when I was a spectator and got to know him a little bit. No, he's a great guy, and we do miss his involvement.
One thing is for certain, though, Don Ricco will always be known as the voice of Novato. But he's always proud to say how he went home after the parade and made cookies for his grandchildren and had a swimming party for everybody. So I hope that tradition continues. Speaking of traditions, does anybody have a tradition that they, well, in the past, and will continue doing in this year perhaps, or in the future, before the parade, after the parade, anything that you just do every year for 4th of July?
Yeah, we used to. I remember going to Rich Navi at one point and seeing, Rich, we want Navi Patrola in the parade. And he said, let me talk to my family, I'll get back to you. He came back and he said, we'll march in the parade if after the parade we can march into DeBorbas. And I said, you can march into any bar you want to as long as you're in the parade. So after that, we started going to DeBorbas after the parade just to watch Rich stand up on a chair and sing God Bless America and the Marine hymn and all that stuff. And I missed that. Once DeBorbas closed, they started doing it over at Brown's Vineyard, but that's the tradition that I miss.
I agree with you. That was a private party that took place, I understand, afterwards. And somehow I discovered it, and somehow I managed to find my way in there most times after the parade. But I remember that when they were singing and just tons of food. And it was such a great way to spend like a post-parade, because it's over with, and then it's like, now what? So that was a great way to spend some time.
Right.
And sort of missed DeBorbas for that. Otherwise, we welcome Blue Moon to town, of course. But Jennifer, how about you? Any traditions that you do, hang a flag or spend time with family? Or
One of the things I've always enjoyed doing is walking down Grant Avenue. Of late, I've been working at the volunteer headquarters at Dr. Insomnia's, and just walking down Grant Avenue fairly early and seeing all the chairs lined up and people getting ready to watch the parade, and it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. And then gradually seeing the crowds come. It's such a community event. There's such a great community spirit, and I'll miss that this year. I may just walk down Grant Avenue, just to walk down Grant Avenue, but I'll miss seeing all the people and everybody enjoying themselves and everybody happily watching the parade.
Rob, I'm sure you must have, being a native here of Novato, I'm sure you must have some traditions.
Well, being a musician here in town for the past number of years, we would play the Novato Presbyterian Church, their Buckaroo breakfast in the Redwood Credit Union parking lot beginning at 7 a.m. So not only were we the only band playing at 7 a.m. on Grant Avenue, we were always the best band playing at that time.
Of course.
And we would play from 7 to 8:30, Mike Carroll and myself. Then I would take my bass, tootle down in front of the Avenue Salon and announce and play bass with the People of Note Big Band, who have been playing before the parade, even before I got involved many, many moons ago, playing holiday favorites. And then since that band is set up in front of the salon, once we were done at 9:45, many of those band members would go get on a float at the beginning of the parade and become the contraband and lead the parade, sitting on bales of hay on the back of a big truck. Great fun there. Once that parade gets started, I can relax for a little bit, but then once Montreux Winery tasting room opened up, Mike Carroll and myself would then go down and play after the parade inside Montreux Winery tasting room till about 4 p.m. And then I would go home and collapse. We hope to do that again down the road. This year not, but that's the plan for 2021. That's for sure.
Every year I'm so disappointed that I didn't go to the pancake breakfast. I always
Yes.
meant to.
They are the best pancakes in town.
That's what I hear. Absolutely. So next year I'll be there
Yes.
first year. Tell us a little bit about that. It's a fundraiser. Am I correct?
The Presbyterian Church in Novato has been doing that for, I believe, over 60 years. It's a fundraiser. They donate all the proceeds, I believe, to North Marine Community Services. There's many different benefactors, and it's a great place for people to gather before the parade to see, and the church goes all out. It's a wonderful time. Redwood Credit Union donates the parking lot for us. It's always a good time.
Indeed. So I want to get some stories from you, because I know you all have some, and one of them that I want to share was that I think it was 2012, I was gifted a ticket to go to Oahu. Happened to be to go see a U2 concert.
Oh.
But once I was there, it was profound. I got to witness the very last reunion of the Pearl Harbor survivors. So that really ultimately became the highlight of my trip. And I also visited Pearl Harbor, and it's sobering. It's tough to see. So Brent, I know you are really involved with Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and of course Independence Day. What does the parade mean to you? Is it a sense of pride that you get involved, especially with the parade?
Absolutely. Part of it is the local civic pride, just pride in Novato. I've lived here since 1996, and I've grown to love this town. I got involved mostly after my graduation from Leadership Novato, but certainly covering the town for the local media, for the Marin IJ, and for Patch.com in its early days. I got to know so many people, and I just wanted to get more involved. So part of it is just that. But the other part is, this is not it's a patriotic holiday. It's not a military holiday, but I really love the military aspect to paying tribute to those who served. It's an opportunity, in addition to Veterans Day and Memorial Day, to also pay tribute to those folks. So to me, that's what warms my heart, is not just seeing the little kids enjoying the holiday and celebrating Independence Day, everything red, white, and blue, and the pancake breakfast. But I love it. I love seeing, especially our older vets, get a hand, get a nice ovation. And personally, that's a big part of thanking them for their sacrifice on the 4th of July is important to me.
Rob, how about you? I saw you clapping your hands.
I was just honoring those people who have served and continue to serve, honoring our first responders, honoring the volunteers who put the parade on. I mean, it's a wonderful gathering where people come together. You don't see anybody looking at a cell phone, and it's a wonderful Novato tradition. I cannot wait to get back to it next year.
And I want to go back one moment. Dennis, I know you do have a tradition that you celebrate every year. Can you tell us what that is?
My tradition is that the day before is my birthday. So either on my birthday the day before or on the 4th of July, I would always go to the county fair. That's something I've done traditionally every year. And many years after the parade, I would go into DeBorbas, and there would be Rich Nave and his Nave Patrula, all hoisting one. And I'll never forget my entire life. I'll always remember Rich Nave, and here's DeBorbas completely packed with all the soldiers and the Italian soldiers from World War I, and a huge crowd of people. And Rich Nave got up on top of a chair, and he whistled and he hollered for the crowd to completely get quiet. And then he broke into God Bless America, and everybody in DeBorbas joined in and sang. And it was something I'll remember all my life. It was a great moment.
Jennifer, would you like to add anything to the whole honoring of our veterans?
Well, just to beat Dennis, my birthday is July 5th. So actually the parade is held a day earlier than it should be. Every year I think about the irony of me being born and raised in England, but now having lived in Novato for 40 plus years and being part of the parade. I absolutely enjoy it. There is no such thing, of course, in England. They were always independent, so there was nothing to be independent from. So I've always enjoyed the celebration. I enjoy seeing all the people. I enjoy that we not only honor veterans, but that we honor police and fire employees of the year. We have the city council there. We have our electeds, not electioneering, but simply waving at the crowds. So I just enjoy the whole festive atmosphere, and knowing that after 6-7 months of working, we've managed to pull off another parade that probably the day before we thought wouldn't happen, but it always does, thanks to everybody who pitches in and works very hard.
Vicky, anything to add to that?
We're talking about people working hard, and it hasn't been mentioned yet, but Kathy Nickel has been in charge of the committee for the last, I don't even know how many years. She has stepped down. She's been begging to step down for several years now. And she does so much work that people don't even know about. Then I think she needs to be recognized for everything that she's done for the many, many years that she's done it.
So I was talking, yes, and I agree. I absolutely agree. And there's Kat. What happens when you work from home, right? I agree wholeheartedly. And I really liked the fact that over the years, I think she got all her family and friends involved, and she recruited quite a few family and friends.
Yes.
If you want to speak to that.
Well, I can't speak to that, but I will take credit for having brought Kathy onto the committee it's probably 12 or so years ago. We were looking for some more committee members, and I had worked with Kathy on the Safe Grad Committee for Samarin High, and recognized that she's a fantastic leader and organizer. So I take credit for having brought her onto the committee, and with her, of course, her family, a great family, and friends who've contributed enormously to the success.
Indeed. Brent, usually at this time, well, you're frantic all the time. You're always got your hands in 10 different things, pulling your hair out, although you still have tons left. I just got rid of my COVID hair this morning, by the way. It's been months. Yay. You're usually writing the entire special section of what I'm still going to refer to as the Novato Advance, but the Marin Scope Novato edition for the parade. And I have to tell you, I used to rely on that section for the times, the rare times that we had to ad lib, or just wanted to thank the committee or remind people, where the restrooms were, stuff like that. So are you still doing something like that this year? Or?
Not this year, no, but it is always fun to put together to figure out what we're going to showcase, and we always celebrate our the Grand Marshal and try to give them a feature story that to sort of justify why they were chosen as the Grand Marshal, and give them some kudos. And so we do that no matter who it is. And so that's what for the spread in the Novato Advance, it usually showcases the Grand Marshal. And then we also, we remind people who the Citizen of the Year is as well. So we run a feature story on that person. And the rest of the inside of the section is sort of a repeat each year about, safety at the parade, the history of the parade, what the themes have been, some of the winners from the previous year. But it's fun to put together. Usually at this time in late June, I'm working on the scripts for the announcers, and that's much, much, much harder. That is a task because it's a moving target. In the third week of June, there are still a lot of things that we don't know, are not solidified yet, and it's tough to walk in and to the microphone on parade day And, there might be something that changes that morning, and that's half the fun of it. We have to figure out how to ad lib. But
I'm just going to interrupt. As an announcer, it's like, might be. We were getting changes throughout the parade.
Yeah, it's guaranteed that there are going to be some last minute changes. And as I said, that's half the fun. Turn on a dime and keep smiling and make sure everybody's having a good time. That's the job of the announcers. And we have a good time. There's 8 of us along the course. And I'm usually looking right at the old Novato Theater with the Copperfields next to me, and it's a fun spot to be, and it's great that even my mother-in-law are there, sitting in their lawn chairs, and they're enjoying it, and just tons of friends, and it's such a fun day for me.
So speaking of Citizen of the Year, it merits mentioning that Kathy Nickel was Citizen of the Year. What year was that, Jennifer?
I would have to look it up. I don't know. It's been within the last 5 years, I think.
It was 4 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
And then as far as the along those lines, the Grand Marshal. So this year so let me rewind. I served on the committee for about 3 years, so I know how much the committee does. Not that I worked as hard as you guys do, but I know that around October is when you start thinking about the theme and the Grand Marshal. And so had you planned that already? And then what will you do moving forward? So does that Grand Marshal know who they are right now and they're just holding on to that title till next year? Can you explain that, either Jennifer or Vicky?
Well, we had thought of a theme. We were going to celebrate the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage, and we were very excited about doing it. And we had decided, as you say, in October, which is when we usually decide on the theme. And then we try and have a Grand Marshal who has something to do with the theme. And we were working on that back in the beginning of the year. And we were thinking of involving high school student leaders, specifically young women. And that's about as far as we had gotten when the pandemic struck. So no, there was no actual Grand Marshal chosen for this year. And we'll have to see what happens next year, whether we'll celebrate the 101st anniversary of women's suffrage, or whether we'll come up with a new theme, which might be, thank goodness we're back.
Oh, I like that. What's the criteria for being a Grand Marshal? Just so we can all maybe pitch in and help.
Good waiver. Got to be a good waiver. Like the Queen, right?
Right. There are no specific criteria. As I say, we like to honor we usually try and tie the Grand Marshal to the theme. It's not a hard and fast rule. We will usually honor somebody who is a Novato resident, but that again is not a hard and fast rule. But it's more the theme that drives the Grand Marshal, because as we said before, we do honor the Citizen of the Year. So the Grand Marshal is tied to the theme usually.
So Rob, I'm curious, I know you clean a band and you're always emceeing and announcing. When you're announcing with your co-announcer, who I'm not exactly sure who that is, or has been, but what do you talk about? Because you're from Novato, so there must be so many things that you want to tell people and engage the spectators with.
I've never actually announced the parade. I just play before and then do the People of Note big band for our good friend Ramona Chipman, who needs to be acknowledged. And then I end up going down and playing at Mantra. When the parade begins, though, I do have my PA there, and I ask people to please rise, take off your caps for the honor guard. But I've been asked to announce the parade, but I've never had enough time to quite fit that in.
So for all of you, why do you enjoy volunteering for this parade on Independence Day? You're taking half your day out you work so hard and so diligently. I'm just amazed. By 1 o'clock, that street is cleaned up. So I think that we should also salute to the police who keep the streets safe
Yes.
during the parade, but let me turn that over to Jennifer, who could probably say that better. But I'd like to go around to everybody and say, you know, what the parade means to you and why you volunteer.
Well, I got roped into the parade, so to speak, because I started on the committee as the liaison from the city. I worked for the city of Novato, and the person who was the liaison from the city was retiring and asked me to become a liaison from the city to the committee, and I enjoyed doing it. And so when I retired, the committee asked me to stay on and come onto the board. So I willingly decided to do that. And just as a note, people often think that the city of Novato or the Chamber of Commerce or somebody else puts on the parade. That's not the case. The parade's put on entirely by volunteers. There's a 7-member board. There's about 15-member committee, and then about 60 parade day volunteers. So we're in a nonprofit independent group and entirely, as I say, put on by volunteers. The city and the chamber and the sanitary district and lots of other groups partner with us to help us, but it's mainly done by a group of volunteers. And I just love the camaraderie and the fact that everybody does their bit. Everybody knows what they're going to be doing. Everybody pitches in, and every year it comes out to be a fantastic parade, which I'm going to miss incredibly this year.
And Dennis, how about you? Same question. Why do you volunteer as an announcer, and what's this parade mean to you?
Well, the parade means the same thing to me that it means to all Americans, and that is it's a day to celebrate whatever background we come from, whatever our political affiliation is. At least we all try to come together and celebrate the fact that we're all Americans, and this is our national birthday day to celebrate. And parades have always been a big part of the 4th of July, so it was a big thing for me to be part of the parade, and then to later on announce for the parade for 15 years or so. To not have it, it feels very strange. I think I'm not going to say anything that we haven't already all thought, and that is that we're living through a nonstop, endless episode of the Twilight Zone.
That's excellently put, yeah, because it's completely bizarre to me. So, Brent, same question.
Well, I think it's the same thing that Jennifer said about the camaraderie. To me, that's the driving force. Knowing that I get to work with that team every year, and add my my publicity background to put it to good use as a volunteer. But I also just want to make sure that to set an example of and show that it really does make a difference if you spend the time to make something as best it can be, a civic event like this that's so high profile that so many people go and see. Thousands and thousands of people see the results of our work, and it's just very important to help contribute to make that a positive thing. And it's to me it's a great day for Novato every year. The 4th of July parade is just so much fun for everybody, and just especially seeing the kids enjoy it and the older folks enjoy it. That's, to me, that it just makes my day. And so that's the driving force for me.
And Rob, what are you going to miss the most this year, and why do you choose to volunteer, and how are you going to fill that void this year?
Well, like Jennifer said, I'm probably going to take a stroll down Grant Avenue on the 4th of July, and being involved in the parade and doing things around the 4th of July for so many years, I really don't know anything else on that day. It's been a wonderful tradition. As a school teacher, I'm off of school at that time, but my wife, she knows if we're going on vacation, it will happen after the 4th of July parade, because we are involved in town, and we will be in town each and every year. So looking forward to next year, that's for sure. We will miss it this year, but you'll see me walking on Grant Avenue, no doubt about it.
All right. And anything special that you wear for festive on this Independence Day?
Yeah, heck yeah. We dress up every year. It's a good time.
As long as it's red, white, and blue, it's good with me.
All right, so let's turn over now to a very special guest, Mayor Denise Athas, and she has a message for us.
Hey everybody, how are you?
We've been talking a lot about what it means to not have a parade this year, and it's clear to me that everybody's really missing it, really, down about it, but optimistic. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what it means for you, because you're so engaged with the community. What's life like been for you these days, being sheltered?
Yeah, I mean, it's been difficult for everybody, but you had to develop a new norm and a new routine. Definitely, get up every day, get dressed, and like I'm going to work, and I get to my kitchen, and that's my desk. I spent a lot of time talking with citizens. I kind of share my time between real estate and talking to the constituency, dealing with a lot of meetings and conferences. So I've been in a conference for the last couple days. And it's just amazing. It's like an 8-hour conference, and we go into breakout rooms. And so it's been different, but we've been doing our council meetings by Zoom, and it's been interesting, but we've managed to come up with a new way of doing business.
Yes, we all have to reinvent ourselves quite a bit.
Exactly.
So how are your puppies, Benny and Effie, taking all this?
They love it. If they think this COVID thing is the best thing that ever happened since sliced bread. They love having me home all the time.
Well, that's good, because my cats are about to evict me. Hello, don't you have somewhere to go? Anywhere?
So funny.
Well, what's it mean to you to not have a parade this year? What will you miss the most about it?
Definitely it's been such a difficult decision to not have the parade. But given the circumstances, it was really the right thing to do. Everybody's going to notice the quiet in downtown on Independence Day with no parade to really celebrate the holiday. But on the bright side, we've got our weekends that are open now on Grant. The streets are open from Friday until Monday. And that's basically for the benefits of the restaurants to be able to extend their businesses into the street, and also to have the businesses there open up and be able to shop. So people, who've been missing getting together and having that community contact, it's really a way to have that happen. The council has really been very dedicated, as is the staff, to keeping our residents safe. But we also want to support the businesses. So I think this is going to be a really good thing for downtown. And of course, we really look forward to next year, and we want us to have everybody there. And I love being in the parade. It would have been my 11th year being in the parade this year. And I think the thing I'm going to miss the most is the fact that my grandniece and grandnephew, it was going to be my grandniece's first time. She's just turning 4. And she was going to be that perfect age. So not to be able to go down and celebrate with them, that's disappointing, because it's so much fun to see all the people lining the streets and really enjoying the parade. It's always been such a thrill.
Absolutely. I'll miss all of that as well as it's tradition for all the city council to be chauffeured in some beautiful vehicle and doing their royal wave. So as I say thank you to you, would you mind giving us that royal wave?
No, I'd love to. Hello, everyone.
Thank you again for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, and happy 4th of July.
Well, I will see you down on 4th of Independence Day myself, and a mask on. And anything in finale that you want to add before we wrap this up? Jennifer?
Yeah, if people are interested, you can go to our website. It's novatoparade.com. You'll see on our website all the things that you can do to volunteer. On event day, there's about 8 different tasks for you to do. You can come join our committee. We're always looking for new people. I'm just really sorry we won't be able to see you on the 4th of July this year, but we're all going to redouble our efforts for next year, and we'll see everybody on 4th of July 2021, I hope.
Let's hope. Yes. Vicky, how about you? Any closing words?
I'm going to miss it. It's going to be a really dull day. We do need to mention that Chris Jones has taken over for Kathy Nickel, and poor Chris kind of got cut short this year. So we're hoping that next year goes better for her, and she's taken over as the head of the committee. So hopefully next year we'll have a bigger and better parade. And this committee is the only committee I've ever been on that everybody has a job and everybody does their job. And it's just a matter of reporting what you're doing at the meetings. It's an amazing committee and it's a lot of fun to do.
Brent, how about you? I know you always have something to say as a journalist.
No, I mean, it's funny how Jennifer completely took over the publicity and the marketing spiel for me. That was great. The Facebook page and the website. Couldn't have said it any better. So I'll leave it at that. One of my dreams early on was to own a classic car and ride it in the parade. And I didn't get a classic car until just a couple of years ago. And by then I was an announcer. And so I couldn't drive my classic car. But my dream is to someday be the announcer with my classic car riding in front of me, driven by a friend of mine or my daughter or something like that. So I've been working on a restoration of a 1955 Volkswagen Bug forever. And I've been joking about how they're going to have to find another announcer whenever that thing is ready, because I want to drive it in the parade. But nah, you know what? I'll leave it to one of my friends to drive. So because I'm having too fun doing the announcing.
Well, Rob, sounds like there might be an opening one day then. So
Indeed. Well, I got to tell you, one of my best memories ever was watching our daughter Haley when she was Miss Marin in the parade,
Right.
waving at everyone. Tim Elsmore driving the car she was in. I look forward to many more people in Novato having those same memories, seeing their kids, seeing their family members, seeing their basset hounds, seeing everybody in the Novato 4th of July parade. We're coming back. We'll be better than ever. Just you wait.
Speaking of Miss Moran, that was one of my stories that I remember too, is that I felt so special one year when Miss Moran had parked her car, but after the parade, she couldn't remember where she had parked it because she didn't know Novato that well. So I was proud to get to escort her back to her car. I'm like, excuse me, Miss Moran. Anyway, that was kind of exciting to meet Miss Moran, but
Yes.
I know two now because I know your daughter Haley as well. So. Dennis, how about you? Do you have anything to add? Any stories? Anything?
No, I think I've said it all. I just always remember that first year when I was reading everything as much as I possibly could and out of breath. Boy, that was an intense 2 hours, and it did get better when I got somebody else helping me out with the announcements, as well as the script being edited, so we had time to read it all and not trying to read too much. But no, every year's had its special moments and every year's been good. And it's been a real pleasure and a real honor to help with the parade every year. So too bad there isn't one this year, but there will be one next year.
There'll be one eventually, yes. Dennis, thank you for your time. You're awesome.
You're welcome.
We appreciate all your involvement with the parade and everything else in Novato. Go USA. Well, on that note, I want to thank everybody. And I also want to acknowledge Jeffrey Schaub, who really wanted to be a part of this today. And unfortunately, he couldn't. He's been my co-announcer for as long as we had co-announcers, I want to say 2006, something like that. And so we're good friends. We go way back. But yet nowadays, the only time I get to see him is at the 4th of July parade. So probably won't get to do that this year. So,
Hi, Jeffrey.
Yeah, everybody wants to say hi to Jeffrey. That would be great. And he's a professional too that adds to the caliber of talent like Don Ricco. So, well, with that, I'm just going to close and say thank you again for being part of this special edition of In Novato. This will air all throughout July and then hopefully be available in the archives for when Novato celebrates its 100th anniversary. Thank you again for your time and stay home, stay healthy. Bye.
Thank you, Pam.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Well, that concludes this edition of In Novato. We hope you enjoyed the show. I wanted to thank the parade committee again for taking the time to talk to me and reminisce about good times and memories. I know it's disappointing, but you'll be back stronger and better in the near future, hopefully. And I also want to give a very special thanks to all the frontline workers and medical professionals who are working around the clock to help people during this health crisis. And definitely give a genuine congratulations to the graduating class of 2020. Although you didn't get to celebrate like most seniors traditionally get to, the world really needs you right now. And I want to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. We really hope that you enjoyed this special non-parade tribute and hope to see you next time, probably in my living room again, right here in Novato. Thank you for watching. Happy 244th birthday, America.
It's a funny group. We had a lot of laughs. Some of the committee meetings were all quips. They're just, one right after another and whatnot. You laughed your way through a meeting. We used to have one of the planning directors from the city get very involved. And I said, you work, 5 days, 6 days a week, and all this planning stuff that was going on with the city government. And then he'd come around and work on a parade, for, 12 hours straight. And you come away smiling. And I said, why do you do all that kind of stuff? He says, well, Jerry, that's the only place I can go once a year, and I can say something, and everybody pays attention to what I'm saying. That's the greatest event I ever had.
I was very lucky to be born into a family with very strong women, and my great-grandmother was a race car driver. She was a photographer. So the 100th year anniversary of the women's right to vote is really special to me. I believe also that it was a changing point in America, and we should recognize it. And with everything that's going on today, we should recognize that changes can still happen and are often good times. As far as the getting younger people involved, I think younger people don't really know that you can get involved, that it is an opportunity to see your community in a different way. And you can come and be part of the committee, which starts meeting in December, or you can be part of just literally walk on the show and start volunteering. It's really fun. You get an opportunity to see the parade up close. You get to meet sheriffs and deputies and firefighters and war vets. I mean, if you really want to see America, you come to the Novato Parade and you volunteer.